Good morning, Mr. Campli. How are you?
Good morning, Matt. Great. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. It's bright and early here in Minnesota, and how is everything on the eastern seaboard today?
It's a beautiful sunny day in November, and we're looking forward to a great fall over here. So, and by the way, I don't know when this is airing, but go Phillies,
Oh, yeah.
because
I'm
we're
not sure.
outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. So, for everybody on the call today that's listening along, will you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're at, a little bit about your business model before we get started, David?
Sure, absolutely, Matt. So it's Campli Photography, and we're in Malvern, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 miles west of Philadelphia. So we're a very typical small town, one traffic light town outside of Philadelphia. We've been in business for 32 years this year, so been a long time, and been in the same building, which is an old converted house on Main Street, USA, Malvern.
Mm-hmm.
And our business model is, I would say, broken down into four categories. We are portrait, which would encompass families, babies, kids. And then we are seniors, which we do just a few very customized seniors, but then we have two loose contracts with schools that we do extended sessions for sort of a private Catholic school style session. We do commercial photography, which for me is, I would call it primarily people based. So it's lots of headshots and corporate branding.
Okay.
And we are now phasing out of our fourth, which is high level weddings, which we've done for our entire career, but now just phasing down just because we've been doing it for so long, getting tired of doing it,
Yeah.
to smaller weddings and lot less.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because I know that that's been part of your business plan for a while, is kind of starting to taper off on the wedding side of it. Yeah, and that's good. After 32 years, you deserve a weekend off, my friend.
And so we are expanding into one area that's a little bit growing for us, which is the video side, commercial video side, which our son happens to run a business out in Denver, Colorado,
Ooh.
and so we teamed up with him. And when the project is right, he'll fly in and shoot it. When the project is not right, we just pass it on to somebody else.
Hmm, that's really cool. So you're such an interesting person, and during COVID, we sent out all the invitations to connect, and you were the very first one that responded.
I remember
So,
that
mhm.
conversation.
Yep, yep. And I think a very nice friendship was born out of that very first conversation. So for everybody watching, David, what's one, hey, great mug, by the way. What's something that's really interesting about yourself that's maybe not even photography related that you're like, oh, I like to do this, or I like to do this? Like, what's one little tidbit of info about you?
Well, I really love to build things. I love to build furniture. I love to build stuff. And way back in the day when I was deciding whether I should go to art school or be a carpenter or a furniture builder or whatever, obviously you see which one won out. But I still really enjoy all the building of things. So I make furniture, I make things around the house, and for me, sort of intertwined with photography is I build all my own prop stuff.
Oh, well, that's cool. I didn't know that about you. I learned something as well. That's really cool.
We have a small garden in the back of our studio. You can picture it as an old house with a backyard, and our backyard garden has about 12 spots for senior posing, and all those props from the old shed to the Tuscan Italian scene, to the planters and all the things that go along with it and walkways. I just like to build it.
Hmm, that's
So
really
when we get
cool.
tired of one and we feel like we overuse it, we just knock it down and build something else.
That's awesome. I love it. So in your 32 years, you said 32 years, right, that you've been in business. So could you pinpoint your most successful idea or plan that you've had for the business during that time? Is there one that's like, oh yeah, it's this?
Um, I think one of the things that was the most successful sort of idea, that I don't think it was new, but I think that really helped us, was getting so involved in the community.
Hmm.
So for
And
me,
you do that to this day.
I do.
Yeah.
President of the Business Association and Chamber of Commerce's and all those things. And I don't think that's anything new to most photographers. And I feel like We probably all do that, but if we're not, we should be, because
Hmm.
just by people knowing who I am, because they see me at all sorts of different things,
Right.
sometimes with my camera and a lot of times not with my camera, just being involved.
Hmm.
It probably has led to friendships, and those friendships led to business in some way, shape, or form. And there's just too many to count on people that will call and say, "Hey, I saw you, or I see you all the time at such and such a thing. And oh, by the way,
Hmm.
our company needs 97 headshots for the
Right.
entire, or whatever."
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things from the actual little idea of things that became in our portrait world. Like, we do the bunny pictures and all that kind of stuff. Those were great little niches,
Hmm.
but that were great for business, but they weren't any turning points.
Yeah, I love that, and being on Facebook and Instagram and seeing all those places that you go and do and volunteer, and you always have stuff going on in front of the studio, and you're supporting the community. I mean, that goes a long ways.
Yeah, I think
You
it.
know.
I think it does. I think it also makes people realize that you're a real person and a small business. As big as we all love to, go on Amazon and order things, people also, I think, still and forever like to do business with somebody that's like them in their neighborhood, whether it
Yeah.
be their little hardware store and not Home Depot,
Hmm.
or their little photographer and not the giants. So I
Yeah.
think that they know you. They know about, they saw your Instagram, that you went on vacation and that you have a grandson, and all those little things I think
Yeah.
are very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, looking into next year, David, do you have plans laid out for the studio for first quarter?
Yes, our uh, we have a huge year coming up in 2023 because of notching down the wedding stuff, right? So
Good.
just a real quickie from we were 30 to 40 weddings a year for a long time, then knocked it down to 15 to 20, and last year excuse me, this current year in 2022 it was 15, and so next year is 5.
Wow.
So we're looking at, like, okay, that's a significant decrease in income.
Hmm.
And what do we want to do to either replace it if we want to, or what are we going to do with all of our time? Now,
Yeah.
obviously, some of it is, hey, we're getting older and we're going to travel and we're going to see our kids and we're going to do all these things more often. But I have little niche projects that I want to do that I haven't done for years. And I think one of them came from a White House, a Hive item on painting with light.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
With
right.
John Hartman. Yep.
John Hartman. And that
Hmm.
was maybe 2 years ago. And
Yep.
I did a test with my own car. It was painting with light in my own car, and I never did anything with it. Well, that's first quarter of next year.
Oh,
Those are
cool.
projects that I think, when you look at things that John does and can substitute a car set that would be the same income as a wedding set, that would be really fun to do and take this amount of time to do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want to try those things. We have another little thing that I'm going to bring back that I did 32 years ago with my daughter, who's now 35, which is the baking scene with the kid baking. And, I want to
Cute.
bring back some of those things that we did old school and see if they have a place for now.
That's awesome. I mean, the light painting, David. I mean that's a huge thing. It's growing by leaps and bounds. And John, every once in a while will do a class or a seminar somewhere close, and then they come here sometimes to visit. So if that opportunity comes up, we'll see you here. So I know that you and your wife are involved in the business. Do you have staff outside of that, or is it just you two?
Yes, we do. So
Okay.
Valerie is the one who has kept us in business for 32 years. She's the brains behind the operation. She's the money lady. I take the pictures and I do the creative side of it. She's also, what's great about my wife is she's also a mom and a wife, which
Yep.
means when she looks over my shoulder in the other room and sees me editing something and says, "Why did you do it that way?" It's coming from a mom, a grandmom. It's like, that's kind of the things that they all are going to think about. So anyway, to your question, we have one part-time person in the studio, which is variable. Her name is Asia Kreitz, and she's awesome. Some days some weeks she's in here 3 days a week, and some weeks it's 1 day a week. She runs her own photography business in Philadelphia, so it's a really great mix. She also photographs, has photographed weddings for us, alongside of me. We just did a large senior shoot where we were doing an entire senior class. She was doing the outside shots. I was doing the studio shots at the school, that kind of thing. And then we have 3 part-time shooters who mostly do events and weddings. And then we have 1 outside editor who only edits really our wedding work.
Okay, wow, you've got a lot of balls in the air with all of that. So a lot of us are idea people. We have great ideas. We have a lot of things we want to do. You come off of a seminar and it's like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. These are awesome ideas. But where the rubber hits the road is when you can take that and put it into action, when you can actually make it happen. How do you do that? And especially after 32 years, you obviously have to be pushing forward all the time and reinventing and keeping things exciting. So how are you doing that with your staff, David, and keeping everybody motivated and excited and engaged in the business?
Well, it is definitely increasingly harder the more the years click by for us to keep motivated to do new things. But for me, one of the things I try to do is I niche out a little bit of time every morning. I'm an early riser, so I'll get up and have my tea, and I'll sit on Facebook and I'll look at the senior pages, which I love. All the different senior groups that are out there, some of the wedding groups, and if an idea comes to me that I see, either whether it's an entire idea of a theme or just an idea of a certain pose or certain lighting that I haven't done in a long time and I want to try it because I saw it happening, I'll put it on my calendar. For me, the only way to do anything is you got to put it on the calendar, and you got to, and even if it gets moved 7 times and there's this 2-hour block that says, we'll use John Hartman's painting with light. Work on that idea, and you put it in on Friday from 1 to 3, and then somebody wanted to shoot on 1 to 3 on Friday. You move it to next week, and you keep moving it, and you keep moving it until it's done. And you do the same thing with your reminder on your phone, and you set up your reminder, and it's not done until it's done. And so you have to carve out the time. It's for me, I guess it's just easy for me to come up with the motivation and the ideas because I have a love affair with photography. It's just, I love doing it. So it's easy for me to come up with the ideas. It's hard for me to slow it down to get it to the point where we're actually going to go do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we all, as human beings, are going to do the things we love.
Exactly.
It's the first thing we're going to do.
And we're going to avoid the stuff we hate like the plague.
That's right. Which is, for me, that's, bill paying. Although I have to say, I do enjoy invoicing clients and then, but I don't really like to pay the electric bill, and I hate that part.
That's no fun at all.
No.
So being a photographer for this long and being such a kind individual, I'm curious, David, what is your why? I know you have a passion for photography, you love photographing, but is there something deeper rooted than that for why you do what you do and how you are in your business?
Well, it's interesting because at the beginning of time for me in photography, honestly, in high school, when I photographed football players, cheerleaders, or whatever was going on at the school, and their parents bought an 8x10 that I made in the darkroom that I watched come up under the safe lights for, I don't know, $2 or $1. I don't even remember how much it was. It was a business venture for me, right? But then as I started doing it longer and longer, it became I wanted to make things. I no offense to all those people that are accountants and lawyers and all, but I want to make something that I've made that now goes to someone's home and is enjoyed for generations. And it came back full circle to me about what is my why. During COVID, we put out a little we were just bored and we had nothing to do. And somebody sent me a picture of their home with their picture displayed that I had taken 25 years ago. And I just got on this idea. Well, I wonder how many people out there would respond. So here's another project for 2023. When I slow down, I have, I don't know, 50 probably people sent me a picture of something that they've really enjoyed for a long, long time that I did a long, long time ago, and I made it. And so for me, the why is being able to make something that's tangible from nothing, whether it's a portrait or anything else. You know, if it's a family portrait, go out and meet these folks at a park or in my studio and create it. And just like the ones that are on the wall in your background, and they're going to enjoy that forever and ever and ever. And you get paid for it.
Right.
Bonus.
Exactly. That's really cool. I'm excited to see what you do with those, because that's really neat that you have all those images from that. That's
so crazy when I go to a wedding and I walk into a living room full of family portraits of that child who's getting married that I did 25 years ago. It blows me away.
It's a relationship that you have with that family, like a person would have with their doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So before we let you go here today, David, is there any piece of advice that you would like to share with everybody who is listening along today after your 32 years and all the things you've done and are doing? Is there one thing that stands out that you're like, boy, I wish somebody would have told me this when I started?
I think one of the things that not necessarily that I wish somebody told me, but one of the things that I've learned over the years is that you really have to become a person that does a little bit of everything. You're not always going to like every part of what it is in photography that you do. And if you want to have a long, successful business at it, you just have to keep trucking along. And that's really hard sometimes, to just, because the frustration is there. And we all know, the digital world has affected, portrait photographers who sell portrait prints, and that's what we do. And it can get really frustrating when you constantly read ads for people doing things for $50 or for free or for whatever. And you got to keep your nose straight ahead, and you have to be just a well-rounded individual that is going to go out and meet the public, be with everybody, and keep moving forward, because it's real easy to get frustrated and just want to give up and go do something else. But if the passion is there and you love it, you're going to figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning and all your answers and wisdom and everything. It'll be fun to see where you go in 2023 and beyond, and thinking about the light painting and all that. I'm excited for you. So it'll be really fun.
Thanks for having me on. And thank you to all the gang at White House for always making me look good. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. You enjoy the rest of your day, my friend, and we will talk with you soon.
Thanks, Matt. See ya.
All right. Thanks, David.